I'm Monica DeSantis.
Welcome to the Prepare to Repair Show with your host, RJ Graham Plumbing's very own Steve Suarez. For the next hour, Steve and his expert guest will help take the fear out of home improvement by answering homeowner questions. Gain valuable information from Steve's 20-plus years of experience to help you save valuable time, money, and frustration on your next home repair project. Become an empowered homeowner and prepare to repair.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, owner of RJ Graham Plumbing. And joining me in studio today is Tony Delgado with Evolution Installs. Hey, Tony.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve.
Oh, man. I'm glad to have Tony back, as we did not have enough time to touch on all the things that he does the last time he was on. We have a ton of things to talk about today. And if you have any questions for any of our guests, please feel free to text us at area code 708-964-5500, and we will get you some answers as soon as we can. So, Tony, last time you were here, we went through as much as we can, but, time just flies by, especially when we're talking about things that we like to do.
Right, absolutely. Unfortunately, right?
Well,
right. But that's why I'm here.
That's why we had to have you back, because, well, it's just we didn't get to everything. And also today we have a couple things. We have an announcement to make over the winners of your Rind Doorbell giveaway. So we have names to announce on that. And also we have a special guest joining us later in the show, that a legend of Chicago radio. And I am just honored to have him jump on with us. This is just,
That's two
awesome.
of us. Yeah, it's great. It'll be great to meet him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So everybody stay tuned for that. But before we do that, let's, when you were on here before, we talked about background checks, licensing checks, perk card, contractor lookup for companies in the AV industry, low voltage industry, things like that. Now, I didn't know that, I didn't really think about it, I guess, what exactly you are allowing somebody to come into when they are doing some of your home electronics, whether it's your data, whether it's your home security, things like that, that you want to make sure who you're letting in on that.
Absolutely. It's important. To its credit, as I mentioned prior, Illinois is very direct on its requirements. Those who want to sell and install security systems need to be licensed. Many businesses are actually floating around without a license, walking into homes, installing security cameras, and taking clients' information, such as their Wi-Fi passwords, their network names, personal information. That at the end, you want to make sure you understand that those details are very important to maintain and keep, and you don't want to just hand them to anyone due to security reasons. So yes, overall, it's important to make sure that you have those thoughts in mind when you release this information to clients.
Somebody could really wreak some havoc when you realize once you let them into your Wi-Fi, you are basically opening the door.
You are in so many ways. So it's just important, just a piece of information out there. I know I tapped on it before, but it's very important for everyone out there to know.
Now, you were saying before there's people out there that say they can do this. And I mean, I run into it with plumbing. There's a lot of people who, they call themselves plumbers. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens is we wind up coming in, same thing in your case, you wind up coming in after these people come in that don't really know what they're doing. And one, you've got to kind of fix everything that was done. And two, you've got to kind of explain why you're different, when it's kind of tough, considering, well, first off, you got to start at the beginning, and this person actually wasn't a plumber. He was just a guy who was like a jack of all trades type person, or a person that's doing what you're doing. He's like, this is a side little thing that he calls himself doing. And that's where the first mistake was, is they weren't who they said they were in the beginning.
Right.
So you got the fly-by-night people doing things like that, and that really hurts all trades and all occupations, because you want people who are actually do what they say they do.
Right, true. So what makes us different as a licensed contractor? In our case, we fall under a private alarm contractor agency. So one of the major differences is we have a perk card. Every employee should have a perk card on them when they're working for a licensed company. So what's the purpose of a perk card?
What is a perk card?
So overall, a perk card is a card that tells employers in the state of Illinois that you've passed a certain background check through a fingerprint submission process.
Okay.
Before you become employed. Typically, it's within the first 30 days.
Okay.
You want to have an employee, someone you're planning to hire long-term, they need to submit for a verification, a background check, to make sure that they don't have long-term rap sheet, pretty much.
Felonies or anything like that.
Of that type. So that separates everyone. Overall, as a licensed agency and a licensed lead contractor, it's important to follow and abide by IDFPR regulations, which has a lot of listings of bylaws that we all have to go by. So overall, it's important. If one of our employees walks into your home, there will be a perk card in his wallet. If asked by a client, then we have it to prove that the employees are background checked, which is key. So overall, it's important to keep that in mind.
Well, to put it in perspective and what exactly that perk card means, and I'll go through this and I'm going to go to a break, is you're dealing with alarms. You're dealing with sometimes sensitive information, and to have just anybody having access to that is just not a good idea. So having people that are background checked, that are thoroughly checked out, and that are fingerprinted, it's important. I mean, to say the least. So, and then we'll touch on that, a little bit more after the break.
Sure.
And we'll talk about more about the importance of the perk card in security.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez. Joining me is Tony Delgado from Evolution Installs. And I wanted to give a special announcement that we are proud to once again be the kickoff sponsor for WJOL's High School Football Game of the Week. We are happy to be involved in that and excited to be a part of it every week. Tony, before the break, we went and we were talking about the importance of what the perk card was and the importance of it, and especially dealing with alarms and all other sensitive information that one might have in their house or business. It is important to make sure that the people that you have are background checked properly and so forth. Now, once a homeowner calls you, and actually, let me get this. I run into this as a plumber, in the business where people will say, they'll say, well, I can do this. Because a lot of products are made consumer friendly.
Nowadays they are.
Right. They try to make it consumer friendly. They try to make it where you can install it, which they can't. Don't get me wrong. A lot of these products but I found that a lot of these products that they make are consumer friendly aren't as durable. They're not because they're not complicated. They're not as durable, and they don't last as long. And the quality just doesn't seem to be there as the products that, say, you or I would install in our respective trades.
Sure.
Now, that being said, you have, like, say, I find with this, because I'm going to plead like a regular everyday homeowner when it comes to this, because I don't know a lot about what you do. Now, one thing that aggravates me is I can buy all these components, and I can get this surround sound. I can get, my Wi-Fi, get all this stuff together, and none of it's talking. My computer doesn't talk. None of this stuff is talking. Printer's not talking, and it's just extremely frustrating. Where it's like, oh, it's simple. It should do this. Well, it isn't that simple. And with you coming in, you probably make it seem simple.
At times, I feel like sometimes I make it look too simple. But it comes with its territory. It's one of those things where the experience counts. I've been doing this for over 20 plus years, maybe more.
Right.
And I've learned every client, every install, every pre-plan is different. So at the end of the day, if I have a client that reaches out and calls and is going through that situation where they spent thousands of dollars on a new system and they initiated, placed it together, and now it doesn't sound as great as they thought it would, or
Right.
the way they compared it to the showroom. It just now they're puzzled, trying to figure out how can I make this work. Well, they reach out, we go in there, we kind of walk them through step by step. What do you have? What can we help you with? How can we adjust this? How can we make it better?
Right.
At the end, yes, if it turns out to be great and they're happy, we're simple. We try to train them on how to use it, how to make it sound better. If, let's say, the room acoustics change, if they add a new carpet, if they move the room around with new sofas, acoustics change when it comes to sound systems. So at this point now, we try to give them a heads up. Hey, it will change. So this is how you can improve it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it becomes one of those things where they find trust in us, in our company. And,
Right.
and that's key for us. So it is important. I just hope they don't hold back from reaching out, whether it's to us or to a different professional company that specializes in these areas. It's always good to get more information.
Well, I think, and I've heard people say, well, you could do it yourself, save the money from calling a company or whatever. And I look at that and it's like, one, I think that's more of a myth. If you get the right company, it's more of a myth. Because the problem is when you get the right company, they're going to do it right. They're going to get everything done to your specifications. You're going to be satisfied. You'll get a warranty on whatever you do. Now, by the same token, let's look at the cost involved. If, say, somebody buys a faucet or they're going to rot a line or whatever the case may be, at least in plumbing on my end, the time that you spend messing with it and dealing with it, or even going to the store, renting a rotter, and going back to your house, rotting the line, spending the time, if you take that times the what you make at your job and the time you're taking away from things that you like to do, compare it to what it costs, you're actually going to be ahead by just calling someone. Like, same thing with you is if somebody goes and is hooking up all their components that they get, they're going to be fighting with that for a long time to try and dial it in and try to get it, where if you add up all that time, the cost to have you come out and evaluate, get everything together, get everything working the way it should, get that proverbial smile when you leave, it's actually cheaper to have you do it versus the time they spent on it.
Yes, I completely agree. But sometimes it's not that simple, right? So that's where we come in to try to help them.
Right.
Or in some way, maybe if we've handled work for their family members, then they'll eventually will try to knock some sense into them and say, hey, if it turns out that we have to, then they'll call us.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
We got you. Now, let me ask you something. Now, as far as your days coming up, as far as what you do a site visit, you'll do what is a typical day? Like a customer calls you and says, okay, I want you to come out. Basically, I don't know what I have. I don't know what I have. I bought this. I want this security system. I want these cameras. Nowadays, cameras are really, really popular especially, with a lot of things that are going on, with break-ins and so forth. Security cameras are a big thing. Ring cameras are a big thing. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they see some things. So what do they do at that point? They call you up, and how does that work?
So they.
There you go. Go ahead.
There we go. So they reach out. Initial call is always trying to find out how we could help them out. And once we determine that we can, and based on the information they relate to us, then we could schedule a site visit. On average nowadays, it's becoming rare to do a site visit unless it's a huge job and we have to pretty much consult up front. But at the end, if it's something straightforward, simple, couple cameras, couple of Ring doorbells, front, back door,
right,
then we could pretty much request quick pictures,
right,
thorough information, a couple of questions to cover. They'll respond if they're truly interested, and we pretty much walk them from there. We'll ask information on their network, Wi-Fi speeds, their plans initially, and once we generate that information, we get a good sense if we need to schedule a site visit. Once we schedule a site visit, if needed, we walk them to their homes and kind of walk them through the process. So the process can be, what do we want to achieve overall? They'll relay information based on the project, and we do a walk-in. We talk about every single step. If it's cameras, 8 to 12, 16 cameras based on the layout. If it's for a residential layout, then we discuss details. Are we planning for wireless technology? If it's wireless technology, then we focus on the Wi-Fi network. Very important. Now, at this point, we need to make sure that their Wi-Fi network infrastructure is strong enough to cover the points where we plan to install cameras. If so, then great. But on rare occasions, we might get 1 or 2 cameras where they just need extra expansion for that Wi-Fi platform. So then we come in before we proceed with any of that camera install process. Then we discuss the Wi-Fi expansion for the home. Okay. Sure, not every home is 900 square feet or 1200 square feet. We have 3,000 to 6,000 square feet homes that we kind of are trying to figure out, how do we expand this network? We eventually focus on that aspect before.
And you can go through, walk through, and determine placement of cameras, the best location on that.
And that's part of our job, yes.
As well. And also you do life safety systems, you do smoke alarms, smart alerts, and as well as the Ring cameras. But you've also been doing a lot with data as far as during the pandemic. You've also been doing a lot with that to assist people in their basically working from home. Obviously, with remote learning has become was popular, and kids are going back to school now. But who knows what's going to happen going forward?
Yes. So, yeah, the need with COVID and whatnot, it's become a dire need that we need great networks working throughout homes, and we've received many calls from the initial first month of COVID hitting. We received massive number of calls that they needed their office or home office expanded for Wi-Fi connectivity, better network connections. Sure. First up is Xfinity or Uverse, whichever service provider they have. And from there, then we come in and expand throughout, making sure that if they need wired connections from here to there, then we're there for them.
Okay, so you can help them out on that.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to ask you this because we're going to be taking a break pretty soon here. Now, I want to thank you. Thank you tremendously, because you decided, you came to me and you said, I want to do an offer for the listeners on the show of a Ring doorbell install. Now, you want to tell our listeners what that Ring doorbell, and then we can announce the winners?
Sure. So, I decided to have this giveaway. I've actually had many giveaways in the past.
Okay.
Right. Through our
Thank you for
page.
making me feel like we're exclusive here. So
the thing is, this is you. It's okay. Steve from the Prepared Series. Okay, so so this giveaway obviously is sponsored by my company, Evolution Installs, and thanks to Steve for allowing us as our host.
I appreciate it.
Show. We decided to launch this giveaway last 3 weeks, including today, 4th. So we're going to have a total of 4 winners.
Actually, 3 winners. We got 3 winners because we started after that. So
today I picked one random.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Someone that kept saying, I'm interested.
Okay.
And so our first winner.
We got 4. I like it.
4. Our first winner, Alan D. from Minooka. Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
We'll reach out, and then you get to pick your prize. Second, Barb S. from Manhattan. Third, Mackenzie P. from New Lenox. And lastly, our fourth, Bruce Miller from Park Forest, Illinois. Well, congratulations. I did mention, and I'll make it quick here, that I had a special surprise for all the winners. So I kind of have them an additional from the Ring surprise.
Okay.
It's either they get to choose a free survival emergency fire safety kit that includes some cool stuff like a smoke detector for the home, fire extinguisher, or they get to pick $100 cash so they could spend at their local restaurant, since we love supporting local businesses.
Wow, that is awesome. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, everyone.
Okay, you want to read those names again?
Absolutely.
So, in case
Alan
anybody forgot.
D. from Minooka, Barb S. from Manhattan, Mackenzie P. from New Lenox, Bruce Miller from Park Forest.
Reach out to us for your so we can get your information for your Ring doorbell, and sponsored by Tony Delgado at Evolution Installs. I appreciate that.
You need us.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and coming up after the break, we've got a special guest going to join us, and I'm totally excited about that.
News.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair Show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, with RJ Graham Plumbing, and I am absolutely, completely excited of our special guest here. He is joining me. This is a radio legend. I listened to him forever, Mr. Eddie Volkman.
Thanks for having me on. This is fun.
Oh, I appreciate that.
We were talking in the hallway last week, because he's here every week. Steve's here, about some nightclub stuff and New Year's Eve at the China Club and stuff. I'm going, oh boy. But now you've found a respectable living, because we were pretty wild back then.
Well, I had just, I was dating my wife at the time, and I decided I'm going to surprise her with tickets to the B-Bash at the China Club. It's December 31st, 1992. I have him on the ticket. She got a nice dress, took her downtown, had a brand new leather jacket right around, right when they did the ball drop and everything like that, New Year's. I decided to grab a beer and just start spraying.
Nice.
I didn't even seal my jacket. I ruined the jacket. And then we're going to the car. The parking attendant isn't at the car.
Of course not.
He went to another lot.
Oh.
So I had to hike down and find him. And she's, like I said, she's dressed to go out and look good, not dressed for warmth.
Right.
So I'm lucky.
Oh, yeah, women never bring their coats to clubs because,
It's better to look good than to feel good.
Right.
Loving it.
I'm surprised she still married me after that. It's because we got engaged not long after that.
And you still have a beer-speckled leather coat, right?
Yeah, actually, I think I still have it. Oh, yeah. It was not a good idea.
That was live on Channel 2, and they don't do a local origination. Well, now they do with the Mark Giangreco when he was still employed,
right?
Kissing Janet Davies on TV and all that, but they didn't do enough of a local countdown, and we did, and we clobbered the Dick Clark special because nobody in Chicago cares about New York. I mean, the ball drops at 11 o'clock. We had an actual on-air Chicago countdown, and it was fun. But
it was a lot of fun. And when I told people that you were going to be on the show, they said to me, they go, Are we going to Cancun? No, we're not going to Cancun. It is not in this show's budget. We are broadcasting on a budget on the Prepare to Repair radio show, which includes headphones. That's where we're at here. We're moving on up slowly. So
I heard you guys talking about the Ring cameras and installing, and you gave some away, huh?
I did. Well, I had the privilege to give some away here.
I had I just bought a new house, and of course, my wife instantly, we got to have security, and the thing is to put in the Ring cameras, and so we ordered all this stuff, and it's kind of trickling in. Every day is a new Amazon box. But the first thing to arrive was an indoor camera that she wanted to have because we have a little pug. Nice. And she's a teacher and gone all day, and my daughter's at school, so she wants to keep her company and talk to her over the little thing. Unfortunately, she won't believe me, but the dog seems to have lost her hearing in the last 4 or 5 months. So she can't go, I miss you, like a little thing like that. But she can still see her scampering around the house, which she doesn't do much of because she's 11, almost 12, and lazy. So
see, there you go. You should have entered my contest.
Well, I know, but the thing is, the first day, the notifications were driving me nuts. There is motion in your living room. Yeah, I know, because it's a dog. It's not going to stop.
Right.
And my wife, I want to know.
Now, are these hooked up to an alarm, like your not notification, but aren't they hooked up to the alarm sensors and things like that? Or?
We haven't put all those in. I have the boxes. I just got it literally over the weekend. So
well, now you know someone that can help you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So you're going to put that in yourself?
I'm pretty handy, but if I start to screw it up, I'll say I need some help.
Well, because I have the frustration with getting my computer or my printer to work and talk to my computer. And I've got a sound bar and I've got surround speakers that
right.
I've got to click on to make sure they both talk because they don't work together. And it's like I don't have the patience.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the whole pandemic is we had to learn to do our radio shows from home. So we had the entire. It was an all new world for us, but now I've learned more technology in the last year and a half than I did in the previous 15 years because there's so many new ways, things that were invented, clean feed and all these different ways that you can sound. I could do my show from a beach in Maui, and if they're not careful, I may just do that.
Can I come?
Sure, why not?
I mean,
look how many people are able to do their jobs, whether accounting or computer work, just from home.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
commute to the office is kind of lost now.
Well, that's what he was just talking about here because he does data and basically everything, communication, low voltage. And he was saying that there was just an increase during the pandemic of people working from home with remote learning, and they needed to get their system up to speed to be able to handle everything that they're doing.
Yeah, well,
and it's.
So and everything's computer and Bluetooth together. So my new house, I went with all smart TVs because the previous place I lived, I was there so long that had TVs that were outdated. So now
tubes
it's
in them?
What's that?
Tubes in them?
Not that outdated, but
I actually have one with a tube in it. I didn't want to let it go. It's still in the garage.
Oh yeah, but they every year the technology changes, so it's cool, and the streaming is totally different. And the old guy, is trying to teach my 10-year-old how to do everything. It's usually the opposite. The 10-year-old knows all the technology. Hand them an iPad at age 2, and they're like swipe.
That's where my 2-year-old is.
Yeah.
She's all over the iPad on Roblox.
Oh, my kids, they do it, and they'll, because my son is 26 and my daughter is 23, and I'll start to do stuff, and they're like, okay, you're going to get frustrated, let me do it. And they'll go and do it, because my biggest thing is it's not supposed to be this hard.
Yeah.
It should be a lot more simpler and user-friendly.
Right. Well,
and
I'm worried about the hacking. My wife is talking about, we saw that news story of the guy that was talking to the 4-year-old in the house.
Yes, I saw that.
That went worldwide viral and scared a lot of people about, the security on these things.
Absolutely. That's the biggest concern. Security. Yes, we're dealing with security cameras, security systems. The biggest threat to it and concern is security aspects. So
Can you put VPNs on your...
You can. Definitely an option, but it slows it down. There's always the additional pass-through system.
But the people hawking them on the radio say it doesn't slow it down. They couldn't be lying, could they? No, but what do you recommend for security on those things so my next-door neighbor doesn't watch my dog clacking around?
Well, the great thing with Ring systems is their second layer of authentication.
Oh,
Just
right.
Make sure you activate that. Make sure you're on it, right? If you see and it alerts you that there's some active someone connecting to your system, just make sure you address it quickly and don't sleep on it.
We have it's a new house in a very wooded kind of area. So in the first week we had like a mother deer and 2 fawns and then a fox, which just delighted my daughter because she has this pet stuffed fox. Well, we haven't seen him since, but I saw him one night because I lay out these low rent hot dogs, bar S, like 10 for $1. I don't know what's in them, but it says pork and chicken, and I figure a fox likes chicken. I lay out 4 every night, and my wife said, some dogs eating those. Some no. About 11:15 every night, like clockwork, the fox comes. And I've only seen him twice, but I know it's, it's a fox. I know what he looks like. So my daughter's, you got to get more, Dad. You can't not feed him. But so now they want the Ring cameras. The first one was so we can watch the dog. The second one has to be pointed out the back door. Forget the UPS man and the Amazon guy. They want to see the fox on the motion video the next morning.
Forget the points of entry where somebody's breaking in and they're taking all this stuff. We just want to see the fox.
Right. Yeah. Priorities. Come on.
Well, that is kind of cool. I mean, when you have all this technology and you can actually see that, and being able to see deer go in and out and be able to see foxes, I grew up in the city, and the only thing I saw was, maybe a rat here and there.
Well, here at the radio station, there's, 4 stations under this one roof, and we have them at all the doors, none inside, thank goodness. But the back lot would go off a lot this last winter, and the only motion I would see walking in the drifts of snow back and forth was a skunk that hugged right to the side of the building. And, of course, my wife and daughter would confiscate my phone because that was their favorite new show, the WJOL skunk. So they wanted to watch it and it never skunked anybody, but it was it was a cute little guy walking back and forth. Well,
we moved just actually it was in August of 19, and we have 2 dogs, actually 3 dogs. We have a shepherd, a husky, and then we now have an Irish wolfhound. My wife wanted an Irish wolfhound. That thing it's like
They're huge.
They're huge.
It's like a small horse.
Exactly. It's a big baby. Now, he was still a pup, and these dogs introduced themselves to a skunk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they're going trying to play with it. And you could hear the skunk just making that psh, psh, psh noise. I'm actually spraying them.
Oh, I didn't know it made a noise.
And then you see the idiots like closing their eyes and shaking their head like, oh, I got something in my face. And they're just still wanting to play with them. And they come back with smiles on their face going, you never...
We met a new friend, Dad.
Exactly. And I made the mistake because I was trying to get him away, and I tried spraying him with the hose to get him away. Big mistake.
Why?
Because you can't, if once a dog gets skunked, you can't wet them down. If you wet them down, that oil just embeds into their
I didn't know that.
fur, and they smell.
I mean, that's your first instinct, is clean them off, right?
Yeah, you got to, and then, but that wasn't the only time. I got them clean. I got the smell going away. I got the house almost done, and then they got it again.
Oh, see, my last 2 dogs been litter box trained. Because, they say a dog has the intelligence of like a 2.5-year-old kid, and a cat only has the intelligence of a 1.5-year-old. So if a cat can learn to use a litter box, a dog can. So my dogs, especially when I lived downtown in a high rise, 30 stories up, and it was 40 degrees below zero outside, I thought, use your box. And she did. So they've been real good about that. And plus, she's a tiny pug, and now where I am, there's foxes and probably coyotes too. So I'm not going to let her out.
If you got foxes and deer, you have coyotes there, because I hear them by me all the time. They're just howling. They haven't come near the house. I haven't really seen too many, but I do see these dogs. But they're a little bit bigger. But my shepherd actually saw one, and she chased it.
Well, not a good idea.
Well, no, it's not. But this one didn't see her until she got right up on it. And then she took off, and my wife called her before she, went any further, and she came back.
Yeah.
She's the shepherd. She's she runs everything, even with the two big ones.
The alpha dog.
Oh yeah, she runs the show. And
I haven't seen an actual coyote yet, but I've seen evidence. I see like little discarded containers of Acme bird seed.
Do you know the coyote is actually faster than a roadrunner? In real life?
I believe that. Yeah. Roadrunners run. I'm a bird person. Yeah. They run like 15 miles an hour, which is fast for a bird to run,
right?
But not as fast as a coyote can catch it. So that just, and they can fly.
Yeah.
So except the one on TV.
Yeah, I've been lied to all my life. Been lied to. So I would have to ask you, what is some of your, if you ever had a home improvement project that you did that went awry?
Well, I'll tell you this: when we bought that high rise in the sky, 30 floors up, right next to Lakeshore Drive, I've always been. I was blessed at that time to be making enough money that I always thought, hire an expert, put people to work,
right.
And I'm on the third wife that thinks I can't do anything. So, and each one has to find out. The first wife, I put in 5 ceiling fans with lights while she was at church one morning. She came home and she said, "Who did this?" I said, "I did." She goes, "Shut up." And so, another one, she wanted a flower box for the front of the house. So, and I used to build birdhouses as a kid. I know all about dimensions and wood and measuring. And so I built a flower box and painted it and installed it. She goes, "Where'd that come from?" So now I don't think I've had that shining moment with the third wife here yet, but I plan to. But while we were married and living in that high rise, a sprinkler head exploded in a far room, which would eventually be my daughter's room, but she wasn't born yet. And the building was so new that some kind of black fluid was coming out of it. It looked like the beginning of Beverly Hillbillies, Texas Crude. And it got all over everything, started flooding. Fortunately, the maintenance guy was able to shut off the water within about 2 minutes because he was just on the floor or something worked out. It flooded half of it. It was like a 3,500 square foot condo that took up the entire west side of this building, this high rise. It flooded half of it, ruined the hardwood. Everything had to be, even the drywall had to be replaced because it started to creep up,
right?
And warped floors, and it displaced me for about 7 or 8 months. We moved all the furniture into the living room and had to sleep in the living room and all that. And the other thing that happened on the day of the sprinkler explosion was B96 said, "Oh, this is your last day here." So, well, I'll have plenty of time to work on home improvement. Actually, they took us off the air with a year remaining on our contract.
Oh, yeah.
So I was being paid to do nothing. So, did a lot of nothing for a while.
What caused this? Did they ever find out what caused this?
It was a faulty sprinkler head. And then they started saying, oh, well, you might actually be responsible for people in units below yours. And they must have asked my wife 10 times, did you hang something on it? Like I hang? And she said, and she said, no, I'm never even in that room. It's like a extra guest room. Well, eventually, the homeowners association of the building made every unit replace every sprinkler head at their own costs, even though assessments were like $1,500 a month.
Wow.
So, and it was like $700 a sprinkler head. Wow. And we had like 8 of them in our unit. So it was a debacle. Everybody said, you should have called a lawyer.
Yeah, they're like mercury. They're filled with mercury, and then what happens is when they get heat up, the glass breaks, and that's what literally holds the water back. And that what you basically had in there was oil. It's like in the water, and it gets it because it's the piping that they use. They put in. It's it's all yuck.
It hadn't been used. The system hadn't been flushed out yet. But there were a lot of the maintenance guy there said, yeah, he goes, when this condo building was built, and it was the early 2000s. He goes, they were flying up so quick that they were dragging in people off the street, electricians to do plumbing. Anybody they could find just to. Because so there was a lot of things that were a little shady.
Yeah, the very thing that we talk about on this show of not to do is something that was probably being done. So you're pretty handy, and you could do a lot of stuff yourself. And one thing we do on the show is we try to, advise people. Okay, if it's something that's in your wheelhouse, by all means tackle it. But a lot of people use the YouTube University.
Oh, right. The YouTube tutorials. Some of them are good, but other ones, it's just some guy trying to get followers.
Well, and some of them, what they do is they'll give you, they don't give you real world actual issues. They'll give you perfect world scenarios where things don't always come off that easy. They're not that easy to get to, and it doesn't go in and go out like that. Especially dealing with, say, with a plumbing fixture that has had water running through it for how many years, and now all of a sudden you're going to remove this, and it's not going to come off like it was brand new.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
My brother built his own house up in Lake Zurich from scratch, and he would go there after the builders left for the day because he's a big electronics guy. So he was wiring it with much higher grade coax than the builders had. And just because he wanted things, he knew he was going to have a lot of systems running. And he goes, yeah, but this is the standard grade you guys get. And they got mad at him and said, hey, union. And he said, you didn't see me. You know?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that do. Have you ever ran into that where they're building a house and they're like, can you go in there and put things where you want it, where the builder's not going to do it, or they're going to give you a hard time or charge you a major upgrade on it, when you can have either you do it yourself if you're handy, or you can have, your people do it they're going to get it done the way you want it.
Well, and right now, like my wife already is saying, why is it so cold downstairs and upstairs is hot? And I go, because they put the standard insulation. When we get around to it, we'll insulate this thing more thoroughly than just what the builder did. They put up, 70 houses in one neighborhood in about 2 months. They're not taking their time to do, the high grade everything.
The worst part when it comes to the builders, it's what I've seen nowadays, the misinformation that they do not need wire for data, only Wi-Fi throughout the house. But when it's a big home, we still need wire from point to point. So that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of builders hold back on.
Well, if the next war that someone wants to beat us, they don't have to drop bombs. They just have to disable our Wi-Fi and and Bluetooth and everything, and we're screwed.
You'll have a bunch of souls out there confused.
Yeah,
everyone will just stop because their phone will stop and they'll look around. It's like somebody unplugged them.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Right. My daughter spends way too many hours playing games, and she hates to go in Mom's car, which is a 2007 Hot Rod Collector's Charger, because it doesn't have Wi-Fi, if you can imagine. So she wants to go in Dad's car all the time so she can just keep on, talking to her friends and playing Roblox. And
it doesn't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And 2007 is an old car.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it does have, hands-free, but my wife refuses to use it. She's like old school.
You don't know who's listening.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
In the car, yeah.
Well, I pulled up with people in the parking lot, and you hear them talking, and you can hear you can actually hear the conversation. And some of them got pretty heated. I just, entertainment value, just hearing a heated exchange. You hear, you could tell the guy's getting yelled at because he's looking down, and his significant other's really giving it to him. So he really made a mistake.
And then there was a person talking on their phone with it on speakerphone during the showing of Candyman at the theater I went to yesterday. So
really,
yeah, no amount of shh from the crowd would make them stop. They had to finish their conversation.
Well, they should have stopped the movie so we can finish it. I mean,
we'll all listen. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, when you're done, because you're the most important person here at this point.
Yeah,
yeah. People have gotten a little bit, I say, different during this whole pandemic. People have gotten a little odd.
Well, I mean, it's drivers on the road. But what it is when you have to interact in groups of people, you learn to be a little more cooperative and less selfish. And when you just do things on your own timetable, you're just kind of used to it. And you're like, I have to stop for you?
So I think that's pretty rude. I mean, I've noticed it as far as just dealing with, just the public in general. It's a different attitude, and it's a different demeanor than it used to be. And it's just, I think people need to be around people.
Yeah. Well, being able to bully people from behind your keyboard has enabled a lot of people to, embolden them. Because every time anybody prints anything, even on the Channel 7 or Channel 2 website or on their Twitter feed or whatever, people feel more than happy to just unload with the rudest stuff. Yeah. It's like I said, I'm going to make my fortune on an app that tracks people's to their house when they tweet something like that.
Oh, wow.
So, excuse me, did you just post it? Well, no, I'd have to go to their parents' basement most of the time.
Well, if they knew that you can track it to them, they wouldn't say it.
Oh God, no! It's like sending threatening letters in the mail that they can track you down, fingerprints or whatever. Yeah, if people knew, but they love the anonymity.
Right.
That's what I say. That emboldens their meanness and antisocial behavior. So.
Well, people have gotten that way. They've hidden behind it. They do it especially online with reviews.
Right.
Like they do it on, like I said, Twitter. They do it on reviews of businesses, and no matter what it is, whether it's a restaurant, it's a company like yours, Tony, or mine, you have people that will say stuff that they wouldn't normally say, or they've never used, and they just, I don't like something you posted, or I don't like, that you said something that, to get a license so-and-so, and, well, my cousin does side work and you're taking work from him, so I'm mad at you.
Yeah, right. Well, my old boss used to say, if you give somebody disappointing service, they'll tell 17 people. Mm-hmm. If you give them good service, they'll tell 3.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's always the people that are out to sabotage, that just write a review this was the worst I've ever used. Oh, really? Have you used all of this? This place is the worst. Really? Have you tried every single one of them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you really want resolution, I wouldn't hear from you. You would have already went to the establishment, the manager, the owner, what have you, and they would be the ones that can help you.
Yeah, nobody's out to try and do a bad job.
No. Especially now, people are shorthanded. It's, you're going to give people the benefit of the doubt. You give people the respect that you would want, and and if there is an issue, say something to them. I mean, everyone's trying to build a business. Everyone's trying to do things, and just be cordial to people.
Yeah. When I get a complaint about something I say on the air, if they've emailed it, I like to email back and explain or whatever. Now, I can't email 100 people a day like I have to. But no, it very rarely happens. I think of the old material we did on B96, which is so politically incorrect today, even though it was all in good fun, but it was just stuff that would be picked up by somebody. It's like the reason a lot of comedians don't even perform anymore, because they say at colleges they'll come in and there'll be people sitting in the front row with notebooks ready to write down something that they're offended by, like they're pre-hunched. I'm like, wow, that's awful.
Just laugh. That's all you can do now is just laugh, sit back and enjoy yourself, because you know what? Honestly, we're all funny. I could tell you some of the dumb things I've done. How many dumb things have you done? How many dumb things? You just sit back and go, man, that was really stupid. It was funny, but it was really stupid. And I mean, imagine me. I got a brand new jacket I got for Christmas from my mother. I had to tell her that I ruined the jacket. So, I mean, just be nice to people and things like that. I want to tell you, Eddie, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you coming in to see us. And Tony, thank you for coming on with that great offer. I mean, I am privileged to even, like I said, thank you, Eddie. It's just been great, being a fan of yours. And I'm a fan of yours too, Tony.
Oh, thank you.
You're
thank
awesome.
You.
You're right.
You're great.
Right, now you can come and be on my show one of these days.
Oh, awesome. Well, you're gonna hear us on there coming soon, coming next week. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I want to thank everybody for listening.